Hello, I'm the Renegade Gamer, and I'm here with another review for you. A video game, RPG, kind of. Parasite Eve 2. Um, Parasite Eve 2 came out in 2000. I think it was around September, actually, around 2000. And it received very mixed reviews amongst critics and the gaming community. I remember playing it myself, and I liked the game. I really do. I enjoyed the game a lot. However, I remember a lot of people I knew that had played the original Parasite Eve did not like this game. That being said, it has come back years later, and it's looked more fondly upon, especially in view of the third game that came out. Yeah. But anyway, I'm not getting into that. We're here to talk about Parasite Eve 2. So Parasite Eve 2 came out, and basically, Squaresoft decided to go a different route with the battle system. In Parasite Eve, we had a turn-based grid, well, not really grid, but a range type system that we use. It was a lot of menu-based, and you can move around on the field, but you still use the menus and stuff as that sort. Parasite 2, on the other hand, is much more of well, I kind of hate to say it, but it's kind of in the Resident Evil range of gameplay in a lot of ways. The controls are more tank-like. You have different weapons, and the universal bullet isn't there anymore. Every gun has their own specific ammos, and they're actually all very useful. Speaking of which, all the guns control very differently from each other. You have shotguns, which do a lot of damage. They have three types of shots to it, which is buckshot, firefly, and R-slugs. And each one of those function very differently. Buckshot being that it spreads out. Firefly has an incendiary. Basically, you catch on fire when you shoot it. And R-slugs being basically death shots. They hit you and they hurt like hell. But that's just a shotgun. You also have pistols. You have machine guns. You have the gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII. Excuse me. But there's a lot of variety in the weapons. Is what I'm getting at. Me personally, I enjoy this type of play a lot. I think it's really well done, in all honesty. You also have the armors in the game, which is done very differently from the original game as well, because each piece of armor in the game is unique from each other to a certain degree. Some of them have a natural status protection area where it protects you from silence or paralysis, while others have a med kit installed into it where you'll regain health and MP after battle. And other ones have a GPS already installed into the system, so you don't have to actually attach it. Of course, if you want to know the truth, you don't ever have to attach GPS anyway. But that's just how I play. And that kind of brings me to the attachment system, which is part of the armor. Every piece of armor you can only has about maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5 slots open, and that's all you got until you find belt pouches, and you can get these belt pouches through battles and exploring and everything else, and you can add that to your armor and basically expand the attachments that you can add to your armor. Basically, you can run around with your handgun in your hand and have a shotgun in your armor and a bunch of health medications, plus a couple of stat boosts, which was what was it? It was the crystal skull, Udafia, I don't remember what it's called, but anyway, lipstick, which prevents silence. But there's a lot of stuff in there you can do with the attachment system in the game. Now, this still is It is an RPG to a certain degree. You do have 8 hit points. You do have MP. Not Parasite Energy. You don't have PE this time. You have MP, and you have spells which you gain experience and you revive and strengthen the spells, which only strengthen up to the highest level of 3, and yeah. And they take the 4 elements route on this one. You have fire, wind, water, and earth. Antibody and energy shot being earth, healing, metabolics being and life drain from water, but and so on and so forth. Pyromatics from fire. But anyway, I'm getting off track. And all these spells have a certain amount of use in the game. There's really no useless spell in the game, to be honest with you. Other ones have more uses than others, but antibody's always useful because basically it would basically make damage, make you get hit less than what you would normally get hit. But the battles are all taking place in real time, pretty much. There's still the grayed out screen and it comes back on, but this time you see the enemies before you actually encounter them, and then you can do the gray screen, and then you're basically fighting around the area you are in, and you have to learn to use the areas that you're in to your advantage. You need to keep yourself away from getting hit in the game the best you can. You have to learn how to dodge, and it's very important because when you get hit, it hurts in this game. It doesn't take that long to die. I mean, it can only take maybe about 3, maybe 4 hits for most enemies, and that's it. I mean, it's very painful in this game. You have to get good at dodging, which brings me to ways that Square actually helped you out with telegraphed attacks from your enemies. Every enemy in this game, with the exception of one, every enemy, and I'll talk about that one in a minute, but every enemy in this game has what's known as telegraphed attacks, and they're 100% predictable about what they're going to do. Basically, for instance, let's take the Chaser, for instance, which is basically looks like a human face puma camel thing that runs at you. Okay, he'll kind of just stroll around back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But when he's finally ready to attack you, he'll raise his head up at you, stare right at you, and then start moving towards you and move his head back down. Now, once you see him raise his head back up at you, and when he starts running, move out of the way, and he'll basically run right into a wall because he's not looking where he's going, and fall to the ground. What I'm getting at is this ways you can tell what the attacks are that are going to happen is by studying your opponents in this game, and you need to study your opponents in this game. This is a game that requires a lot of. It isn't a game you can just walk in and just start shooting. If you try to do that, you're going to die. You have to know what you're going up against. Now, the one enemy that I mentioned earlier that's not 100% predictable, there's only one attack in the game I'm aware of that is 100% unpredictable. It's not that it's unpredictable about where the attack is. It's unpredictable when it's going to happen, is what I'm getting at. The same places you go is the same places you'll always get attacked. But the thing is that you never know when in that area you're going to get attacked. And that would be the Bishop or Night Gloam, or if you prefer the purple or red Gloam. And it's invisible, and the very first attack, it will grab you by the back of the neck and hold you into the air. And there's nothing you can do about it except basically jiggle the controls until you get free. But the way to prevent that attack from happening again is basically back up to a wall. And that's pretty much the only attack in the game that I know of that's not a telegraphed attack, because it happens right at the beginning of the battle. But like I said, pretty much 100% of the attacks in this game are predictable, and if you know what you're doing, you can manipulate that to your advantage. Also, the weapons in this game are all useful at some point or another. Now, me personally, I hate one particular weapon in the game. I hate, everybody loves. It is a fully automatic machine gun that fires off 100 shots. I believe it's called the M950. I hate that weapon. However, I would be remiss because that weapon is very useful against clones. On the other hand, I like a gun that most people hate in that game, which is the P08. The gun crits like crazy, and to me, I like to make my shots count. But a lot of people don't like to. They just want to pour on the firepower. So, but that gun's very good for staggering certain enemies, especially stalkers and the giant moss creatures. But the PA3, which is a shotgun, very good for taking out scorpions, and also very good for taking out beetles as well. However, it only has 3 shots, so you have to make them count. That's the kind of point I'm making here, is that every gun in the game has a drawback to some degree. Even the P229, which has a flashlight equipped, which basically blinds enemies for a short time, but it only has 50 shots of the flashlight. Then you have to go get it recharged. It's a downside to that weapon. It has a silencer, that's nice, but every weapon in this game has its ups and downs to it. Every piece of armor in the game has its ups and downs to it, and you basically got to tailor your. You really got to go into this game with kind of a strategy in your mind. What is it that I want to play as through this game? Do I want to use a Magnum through the entire game? If I'm playing replay mode, do I want to play with shotguns the entire game? Do I want to play with handguns? Do I want to use a handgun and a shotgun? Do I want to use a handgun and a machine gun? Do I want to use the the M4A1 and use all of its attachments equipped, which is like the bayonet, the javelin, the hammer, and the grenade launcher? I think I'm missing one there. Flamethrower, just flamethrower too. But every one of these things has its uses at some point in the game. And the way you acquire all this stuff, of course, some of it you get for free, not much, but some of these things you do. But most of the times you want to buy this kind of stuff, you have to earn battle points, which you acquire after each battle you fight. Depending on what the fight is, you will acquire a certain amount of battle points. Now, I just went through this game not too long ago, and I bought what did I buy? I bought the P08. I bought a piece of armor. I think it was a pass vest, and maybe about 7 boxes of Firefly ammo. That was it. That's all I needed. But then again, I played this game many times. That being my 10th or 11th time through the game, I knew what I was doing. But I remember the very first time I played this game, I bought like the M4A1, I bought the PA3, I bought multiple pieces of armor, and basically was running out of VP by the end of the game. Bought medicine all the time, and it was just brutal, the way the game was, because Parasite Eve 2 is kind of a hard game if you don't know what you're doing. That's why I said you really got to pay attention to what the attacks are going on within the game itself. It's a very different battle system from what the first game is. Now, I know I've been sitting here talking about battle system for like 14 minutes, but that's the meat and bones of this game. It really is the battle system. If you don't like the battle system, you're not going to like this game. It's that simple. If you can't get into reading your opponent's attacks, if you can't get into using your inventory, because there's only 20 slots that you have available to you, and being able to range that thing constantly, moving stuff to the item boxes, you're not going to like this game. You have to have some kind of you have to have a little bit of a survival horrorist viewpoint into this game. Now, that's not saying that you're going to run out of ammo, because there's plenty of ammo boxes around. There's also, you can buy the ammo from the stores. I'm just saying that you have to have I don't even know what to call it exactly. You have to have a certain mindset in this game. And I know a lot of people that just despise the gameplay in this game, and it's understandable. So yeah. Now, story-wise, Parasite Eve does something that, Parasite Eve 2 does something that a lot of games don't do a lot whenever they sequelize a game. It actually builds upon the first game in certain ways. Aya from the first game and Aya from the second game are the same character for all intents and purposes. However, Aya in the second game Because of what happened in the first games, there's a lot of things that have affected her now. I mean, to me, and this is just my own opinion, and I made no bones about it. I always got the impression that Aya was, kind of felt like she was a monster, or well, not a monster. That she felt like a complete and total outsider for the first game, in the second game, because she has all these Latin abilities that she can use, and she's afraid that may harm other humans. And it's really interesting throughout the entirety of the game, because you see a lot of her interactions with other characters, and she's really reserved towards a lot of them. She doesn't want to really get involved with them that much. And a lot of these Pierce, she has a very kind of professional relationship with. Pierce would like it to be a little closer. Rupert, it is a strictly professional relationship, and she views him pretty much as an equal hunter. Douglas, it's almost a I don't really know what to call that relationship. I guess a fatherish type relationship, a little bit. Kyle's an interesting relationship for Aya, because Kyle is basically Aya's equal in every single way. The exception is he's the complete opposite in that area, but he's equal in all the aspects of his combat form and everything. And basically, he's just as good in combat as Aya is, despite him not having any powers. But it's actually Eve that pulls her out of this mess that I've always seen. She, up to that point, all the characters have been affecting her, and she's been affecting them as well. And when I mean that, I mean emotionally and developing, But to me, it's always been Eve. The very first time she interacts with Eve, you can tell that all the barriers that she's been putting up all this time just melt away. And even though it's a very short period of time that we get to interact with Eve, it's very interesting to see all those barriers go away, because that's Aya. I mean, she's there as the same character from the first game. Like I said, she put all these barriers up basically because she was trying to protect herself, or protect all the people, because she felt that she was a danger to everybody, which is kind of understandable, because she has these abilities, and she doesn't quite know everything about them. Now, the other aspects of the story that's interesting is you have a running theme throughout the Parasite Eve and then Parasite Eve 2. In Parasite Eve is evolution, with mitochondria becoming self-aware and evolving to take over the human bodies and basically do what they wanted to do, destroy everything and take over. A very natural sort of state of evolution of survival of the fittest, pretty much. Now, Parasite Eve 2 takes that and goes a whole different route with it. Instead, this time, it is artificial evolution, taking basically mitochondria and shaping it in a different way, just slightly, that it mutates into a whole different being. So, you got basically people playing God here, and we see what happens from it. We get chasers, we get stalkers, we get scavengers, and God knows what else in this game. There's a lot of different monsters in this game. You have to excuse me one second, my throat's dry. But there's a lot of different variety of monsters in this game that's been created from all this hell that they created by artificially screwing around with the mitochondria. So, in all honesty, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's a pretty cool it's pretty cool and pretty interesting theme. It's basically I wouldn't say it's not anti-evolution. It's basically artificial evolution is the theme there, and yeah, I mean it's kind of a strange one, but it plays into the strengths of the Parasite Eve storyline, and does make a degree of sense for the story to naturally progress that way. Let's see, what else I want to talk about here? Oh, music. I'm sorry, I got a head cold. Musical wise, unfortunately, the same composer, Yoko Shimomura, I believe her last name is Shimomura. I apologize if I'm wrong on that. I know it's Yoko something. Same composer from Kingdom Hearts. Does not return to do the music in this game. Instead, it's done by a different composer. Now, the music in the game is not bad. Don't get me wrong. The music in this game is not bad, but most of it's very. What's the word I'm looking for here? Elevator type music. Ambiance. Ambiance is the word. Most of the music in this game is very ambiance. It's there. You do notice it, but it's not ever. Doesn't ever rise above that. Not really. Even the opening theme song, which is a remix of Primal Lights, doesn't really ever match up to what the original's musical score was. It's not bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. Parasite Eve 2's music is not bad at all. It's just you come from Parasite Eve and you play Parasite Eve 2, and if you listen to the music on both of them, it's pretty obvious which one has, to me anyway, it's pretty obvious which one has a better soundtrack. That being said, it works. And it does have there's some nice music in there every now and then. Now, one of the things I really like about this game, actually, is there is general areas in this game. It's just creepy. And it really fits. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you ever played this game, in the shelter, go into the living quarters of the scientist and find a bed that is Bowman's bed. And Aya will describe Bowman's bed. And then go over to where the locker is, and there's a note on the locker. And it's the last note of Bowman. And it is generally creepy. What is written there is generally creepy. The description that's given. Also, the room full of caged animals. It's a generally creepy area. There's a lot of factors in the game. Just especially some of the sound effects in the background. They work really nicely in the game. A lot of cues from all over the place. Now, a very strange thing in this game is the fact that there is some voice acting. The majority of the game is text-based, like the first game. However, there are certain parts of the game where you'll hear just a little bit of voice acting. For instance, you see a SWAT team member at the very beginning of the game, and he says freeze. Well, that's the very first word you ever hear, and then you never hear another word from him again. The rest of it's in text. The President of the United States, he speaks quite a few words, and it's all back in the text, and it's just very strange. I don't really know. If they wanted to go fully voice acting, just go fully voice acting. But whatever. It's just a very strange choice there to me. I never could understand it. Maybe they just couldn't afford voice acting. Maybe they can only afford a few words being spoken. I don't know. Let's see what else. Oh man, it seems like I'm forgetting something. Oh, nature. Oh yes. Something else about the gameplay. I should have mentioned this earlier. I do apologize. Excuse me. Parasite Eve was designed with basically New Game Plus in mind, the X game. And they added a whole brand new dungeon to that, and that was the Chrysler Building. And Parasite Eve 2 did something different instead of that. They basically came up with you beat the game, and you get a rank. And that ranking system will give you, let's say, the AS12, R slugs, and something else is good. I think. We'll say Hydro rounds, R slugs and Hydro rounds, and that's what's for sale in the replay mode. Now that may not sound like much, but there's about, I think, 14 different ranks you can get, and each one of them has a certain thing on there you can acquire and play through replay mode in. Then there's also bounty mode, which is a lot of fun. Glomes are introduced very early in the game, and it becomes very challenging because you have to take out these more powerful enemies earlier in the game with not all your best equipment yet. And then there's scavenger mode, where basically you go to the shops and they're empty, and you basically got to work with what you got. The handgun you've been using the entire game, the main armor, and whatever you can acquire from battle, because you're pretty much not going to be able to buy anything. And then there's nightmare mode, which basically takes bounty mode and scavenger mode, puts them together, and hey, you got some fun, because now you're weak, you can't buy shit, and the enemies are powerful. And it's a challenge, so yeah, but it's a lot of fun nonetheless. So it is something that you might want to think into looking into. I've played many, like I said, I've replayed this game about 10 times, and it's just a lot of fun to go through. Learning your enemy's attack patterns and skills, and what weapons to use, when not to use certain weapons, it has its own certain enjoyment to it. I freely admit that I'm not the best Parasite Eve 2 player in the world, but I can get through the game and maybe not die. So, but yeah. Anyway, I love this game. I freely admit that I think the first game has a better story. Yeah, but gameplay-wise, I think I prefer Parasite Eve 2's gameplay more than I do Parasite Eve's. Not because Parasite Eve's gameplay was bad. It's just I think I prefer Parasite Eve 2's gameplay more. Story-wise, I prefer actually Parasite Eve's storyline. But that's just my opinion. For the score, I'm going to give it the same score I gave the original Parasite Eve. It gets a 4.5 from me. And while Parasite Eve is in my top, it's one of my top RPGs of all time, Parasite Eve 2 is a game that I just consider a blast to play through. And I don't know if I wouldn't put it in my favorites list, but it's definitely one of the games that I pick up and just have a blast with. But anyway, I'm the Renegade Gamer, and I've rambled on for about almost 30 minutes. And so, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the review. If you did, you can leave a comment down below. And I'll see about getting some more content done for you. So, yeah, anyway, y'all take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next episode.